What if I told you that some of Hollywood's most naturally handsome leading men, the ones who've defined masculine beauty for generations, have been secretly getting plastic surgery for decades? While female stars get crucified in tabloids for every nip and tuck, male celebrities have enjoyed a curious cultural blind spot that's kept their transformations hidden from public scrutiny. Tonight, we're exposing the truth behind 15 male Hollywood icons who've quietly gone under the knife. From Golden Age legends to modern-day heartthrobs, these transformations will shock you. You'll never believe number 8 on our list, a rugged symbol of American masculinity whose entire image was carefully crafted by surgeons. Before we dive into these jaw-dropping revelations, hit that subscribe button and tell us where you're watching from in the comments. Let's pull back the curtain on Hollywood's most closely guarded secret, the male makeover. Clark Gable, the king's crown wasn't natural. Clark Gable wasn't born the king of Hollywood. He was surgically crafted into one. When he arrived in Tinseltown in the late 1920s, MGM executives immediately identified 2 major problems: his protruding ears and severely damaged teeth that would end his career before it started. In 1932, Gable underwent ear-pinning surgery without general anesthesia, using sutures to pull his ears closer to his head. But the real transformation was his mouth. MGM had most of his teeth extracted due to childhood dental issues and severe gum infections, then fitted him with complete dentures. This wasn't just cosmetic work. It was a complete facial reconstruction that created the charming smile that would make him a box office legend. MGM kept these procedures absolutely secret, establishing the template for male Hollywood makeovers that continues today. Gable's transformation proved that sometimes the most natural leading men are anything but. Cary Grant, the suave surgeon's creation. The epitome of sophisticated charm, Cary Grant's transformation from Archibald Leach involved more than just changing his name. Paramount Records show extensive dental work in 1932 that completely reshaped his smile, turning uneven teeth into the dazzling grin that became his trademark. By the 1950s, despite being in his 50s, Grant was still playing romantic leads opposite actresses half his age. His secret? An upper eyelid lift in 1957 that addressed hooded eyes and gave him that eternally youthful gaze that directors like Alfred Hitchcock relied on. Grant's approach was revolutionary. Subtle enhancements that made him look like the best version of himself at any age, setting the gold standard for discreet male cosmetic work that influences stars today. Dean Martin, the cool cat's calculated refinement. Dean Martin, the king of cool, wasn't born with that perfect profile. Born Dino Crocetti, Martin initially had a prominent nose that he quietly reshaped around 1953 as his career with Jerry Lewis skyrocketed. The rhinoplasty refined his profile without losing its masculine character. His makeup artist later confirmed the smart and natural work, but Martin never publicly acknowledged it. By the late 1960s, as he entered his 50s, Martin underwent additional procedures, including a lower facelift that tightened his jawline and neckwork to address heaviness on camera. What made Martin's transformation brilliant was its subtlety. It enhanced his natural cool rather than creating an artificial look. Fellow Rat Pack member Sammy Davis Jr. even joked about Martin's cosmetic changes, revealing it was an open secret among Hollywood insiders. Kirk Douglas, the Spartacus who spilled the secret. Unlike his secretive peers, Kirk Douglas became one of the first male stars to openly discuss his cosmetic procedures. Starting around 1975 at nearly 60, Douglas underwent his first facelift that subtly tightened his jawline while preserving his powerfully expressive face. In a groundbreaking 1988 interview, Douglas admitted, "Everyone does it. I'm just more honest about it than most." Over the years, he underwent multiple facelifts, brow lifts, and eyelid surgeries, particularly between 1980 and 2000, gradually giving him a tight, wind-swept appearance. His son, Michael Douglas, hinted at his father's surgeries, explaining that Kirk was always keen to use available tools to maintain his career. Douglas's openness helped normalize male cosmetic enhancement, proving that real men could acknowledge their surgical choices without losing their masculine appeal. Burt Lancaster, the acrobat who treated his body like a machine. Burt Lancaster approached cosmetic surgery like he approached his legendary athleticism, as necessary maintenance for his professional instrument. His first procedure, ear-pinning surgery in 1947, addressed slightly protruding ears that studio executives believed detracted from his commanding profile. Lancaster's acrobatic background influenced his pragmatic view of body modification. In the early 1950s, he received porcelain veneers to fix discolored small teeth, creating the dazzling smile that became his trademark. In 1967, he underwent an early endoscopic brow lift to maintain his intense on-screen presence. "This business is about illusion," Lancaster stated in a 1980 interview, embracing the industry's demands without shame. His thread lift in the mid-1970s minimized downtime compared to traditional surgery, proving that even the most physically impressive stars needed surgical assistance to maintain their edge. Robert Mitchum, the tough guy who kept it minimal. Robert Mitchum's world-weary film noir persona seemed completely natural, but even the toughest guy in Hollywood needed a little help. When he arrived in the 1940s, his rough features, particularly his nose, were considered challenging for leading man status. After initial resistance, Mitchum underwent subtle rhinoplasty in 1947 that refined his nose without losing its distinctive character. What made Mitchum unique was his restraint. When suggested an eyelid lift in the 1950s, he famously rejected the idea, knowing his heavy-lidded eyes were his trademark. Between 1968 and 1975, Mitchum focused on maintaining his strong jawline with minor procedures rather than dramatic facelifts. His calculated approach preserved the rugged appeal that made him a star while addressing aging concerns. Mitchum proved that sometimes less really is more. Burt Reynolds, the bandit who couldn't outrun time. Burt Reynolds' rugged charm and athletic physique made him America's heartthrob, but his cosmetic journey became one of Hollywood's most cautionary tales. It started with necessity, corrective jaw surgery following a broken jaw from a stunt on Deliverance, addressed both functional and aesthetic concerns. As Reynolds entered his 40s and began losing hair, he underwent one of the early painful hair transplant procedures in 1978, which left noticeable scarring. By the 1980s, he'd started facial procedures, including facelifts in 1984 and 1988, trying to maintain his leading man status. Unlike many stars, Reynolds openly acknowledged his surgeries, even joking about them on The Tonight Show in 1990. In his 2015 memoir, he expressed regret, acknowledging that much of his cosmetic work was unnecessary and driven by insecurity rather than necessity. John Wayne, America's most masculine secret. Here's the shocker. John Wayne, the ultimate symbol of American masculinity and rugged toughness, maintained his iconic image with carefully hidden cosmetic procedures. The Duke's transformation began in 1948 during his rise to Western stardom, when a receding hairline threatened his career. Wayne underwent one of Hollywood's first hair transplants using primitive techniques to restore his hairline naturally yet fully. By the 1960s, deep creases around his eyes were affecting his vision, prompting a subtle eyelid procedure in 1964 that preserved his iconic squint while addressing functional concerns. His makeup artist Dick Smith later revealed that Wayne's brand relied on specific, rugged masculinity, requiring increasingly sophisticated techniques to maintain his image. In the late 1960s, he underwent extensive work including lower face and neck lifts that preserved his weathered appearance while addressing sagging, allowing him to continue playing action roles well into his 60s. Sylvester Stallone, the rocky road to enhancement. Sylvester Stallone's transformation from the relatively natural Rocky to his sculpted later appearance represents modern male cosmetic enhancement. Born with partial facial paralysis, Stallone always had natural asymmetry that became more pronounced after a 1975 filming accident requiring corrective surgery. By the early 1980s, as the Rocky and Rambo franchises exploded, Stallone's approach became proactive. Around 1984, he underwent procedures to reduce his jawline prominence and adjust his hairline, creating a refined version of his naturally strong features, visible when comparing Rocky III to Rocky IV. Unlike secretive stars, Stallone occasionally acknowledged his work. "I have had cosmetic surgery," he told Vanity Fair in 1992. "I felt like a car that needed a tune-up." His matter-of-fact approach helped redefine attitudes toward male cosmetic enhancement, moving from secret shame to practical career consideration. Al Pacino, The Godfather's calculated preservation. Al Pacino's intense gaze and distinctive features defined 1970s cinema, but his appearance underwent strategic transformations over subsequent decades. During his first 2 decades, Pacino aged naturally, but by the early 1990s, subtle changes appeared, particularly around his significantly receded hairline that appeared fuller in Scent of a Woman. More significant changes became visible around 2000 as Pacino entered his 60s. Comparison of The Insider and Insomnia reveals subtle tightening around his lower face and neck, consistent with conservative facelift techniques designed to maintain rather than erase his unique characteristics. What makes Pacino's transformation interesting is how it supported his evolving screen persona. The work appeared designed not to make him look younger, but to maintain the intensity and strength that defined his performances, creating a carefully preserved version that exists somewhat outside normal time. John Travolta, The Dancing King's hair drama. John Travolta's thick, flowing hair in Saturday Night Fever made him a heartthrob, but when he started losing it by age 25, his cosmetic journey became one of Hollywood's most visible. Around 1980, he underwent early hair transplant procedures using punch graft techniques that left lasting challenges. By his Pulp Fiction comeback in 1994, Travolta had embraced a more mature look, allowing natural hair loss to show. But the early 2000s brought significant changes, not just fuller hairlines, but more defined facial contours consistent with facelift procedures. By 2010, Travolta's look relied on advanced hair systems and cosmetic tattooing to create hairline density. His approach demonstrates the full range of male cosmetic options, from surgical intervention to non-surgical alternatives, representing a flexible approach to image management. Tom Cruise, The Mission Impossible Makeover. Tom Cruise's enduring youthful looks have sparked decades of speculation, despite his consistent denials. Early in his career, Cruise's teeth were misaligned and discolored, but by Top Gun, he had a noticeably improved smile likely achieved with porcelain veneers. His nose also appears slightly narrower in later films, indicative of conservative rhinoplasty that preserved masculine features while improving camera appearance. As Cruise entered his 40s, his remarkably youthful appearance led experts to speculate about non-invasive treatments like Botox and dermal fillers. By the 2010s, his face appeared fuller, possibly due to fillers or fat transfer. Despite evolving appearance, Cruise consistently denies procedures, claiming good genes and healthy living. This contrast highlights Hollywood's double standard, where male stars avoid acknowledging cosmetic work while maintaining impossibly youthful appearances. These 15 transformations reveal Hollywood's biggest hypocrisy. While female stars face scrutiny for every cosmetic change, male celebrities have enjoyed decades of surgical secrecy. From Clark Gable's complete dental reconstruction to Joe Biden's presidential preservation, men have been getting work done just as much as women. What's changing is increasing transparency among younger male celebrities who openly acknowledge procedures like Botox and fillers. This shift could normalize cosmetic enhancement for everyone, fostering more realistic expectations about aging and appearance. The truth is, whether it's John Wayne's hair transplant or Tom Cruise's smile makeover, these procedures have been shaping our ideals of masculinity for generations. It's time we acknowledge that sometimes the most natural-looking stars are the ones who've had the best surgeons. What shocked you most about these revelations? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more Hollywood secrets that studios don't want you to know.